the pressure. I don't know where they felt the pressure was at last year, but it can't be where like the pressure. They thought they could win. Like I don't think the pressure's like they're not. No one's thinking they're going to win the cup, but there's still a lot of pressure to see. Well, how the fuck are these guys going to perform? Can they fucking do something, or can all they do is lose?
Yeah, I think there's a lot more pressure on them.
But in what way? In what way though? Because there's no expectations to realistically win a Stanley Cup. Not this season.
No, but I think there's pressures on them to win. Like there's pressure to have a good regular season, to make the playoffs, and to do some sort of damage in the playoffs because
they have to show something. They have to show something.
If not, and Kyle Dubas was on Bob McCowan's podcast. We talked about this before we started recording, but he was on the podcast with John Shannon this week. If you haven't checked it out, check out that episode. They did a great job, great interview. It's like 45 minutes of just Dubas talking.
It's a good interview for sure.
But Kyle Dubas basically said in that interview, like he admits that he understands his job, Shanahan's job, everybody from them right down to, the fourth line. Everybody's job's on the line this season. I don't think that was the case the last few years. I think that is some added pressure to the team. It's added pressure to think, oh, you know what? Like right now, Kyle's not going to trade us. Kyle's not going to break us up. Kyle believes in us. Well, if Kyle Dubas loses his job because you guys don't perform and a new guy comes in, guess what?
Yeah.
Guess what? Shit, you may be playing in Buffalo next year or you don't know what's going to happen. So I think there's that added pressure that hasn't really been there. They've had so much slack. The slack's gone. And the fans have no patience.
Oh,
it's gone. It's gone.
All the good grace or the goodwill that Matthews and Marner and these guys have had with the fan base,
it's out the window.
Gone. Completely gone. It's
the fans are just at the breaking point right now. I mean, anyone I talk to that's a Leaf fan, and I know you're the same, anyone you talk to is basically saying, fuck the regular season. Fuck it. I don't give a shit. Like, make the playoffs. Obviously, we want you to make the playoffs, but I don't care. I don't care if Matthews scores 60. I don't care if Marner gets 100 points. I don't care. Win.
And I think Dubas said this on the podcast too. Like, we're going to go over a lot of like what he touched on the podcast about. I'm pretty sure he talked about, like, I think they asked him straight up, like, the goodwill with the fan base really isn't there anymore because of like playoff failure after playoff failure. And, so no one really cares about the regular season. Like, how do you go about like doing what you need to do throughout the regular season to make the playoffs and put yourself in a position, whatever. And I'm pretty sure Kyle answered it by saying like, well, there's a lot of things we could work on in the regular season to make sure like we are positioned properly for the playoffs. We're going to be back with Tampa and Boston and Florida and whatever. Like, we could be, our power play needs to be like top 5 in the league. Our penalty kill needs to be top 5 in the league, like special teams and just overall the way they oh, here we go. The consistent of like to play consistently night in and night out, like a Boston, like a Tampa, like the teams that fucking know how to win.
Yeah, become a well-oiled machine.
Right.
Just be able to do it in your sleep. Wake up.
Yeah. Like, don't play down to your opponents and all this stuff. So, I mean, all that's true. Like, I think the regular season is going to be, there's going to be a lot to keep track of. Like, I don't care. Like, like I said, I don't give a shit if Matthews, it'll be interesting if he scores 60, whatever. I'll still be entertained by like him putting the puck in the net, but I don't really care. The goaltending should be interesting to see if Jack can follow up last season and how Mrazek plays. Like, there's going to be some, where's the defense going to be at now that Mr. Never Hitting the Showers, Bogosian, is out the door? Like, are they going to be able to, there's going to be still things to follow, right? Like, just like, injuries.
No, there's always going to be storylines and there's always going to be things going on. And of course, the hockey itself, like, we're still going to have good games. We're still going to have action. We're still going to have things to talk about. It's going to be really cool to see fans in the building again. It's going to be really cool to play other teams like outside of Canada again. But again, it just doesn't matter. The patience is run so thin that those storylines can carry you so far. But I've never seen Toronto Maple Leaf fans, like, we've lived through some pretty shitty hockey years, but they expected them to be bad. Like, during the Kessel and Phaneuf years, we didn't really expect them to win a cup. We didn't really expect them to be great.
No.
This is different. Everyone had such high hopes, and they just keep letting us down huge every single year. This is worse than the 18-wheeler going off the cliff back in the FNUF days, or being in a playoff spot at Thanksgiving, but then falling out by the time. This is terrible. And Dubas said this on the podcast. He basically said they're playing in the playoffs. They look like they're playing not to lose instead of playing to win.
Yeah.
Like they look reserved. They look timid. They look nervous.
Yeah.
They have to get by that. And again, I don't give a shit.
How do they do that? That's the thing too.
Well, and that Leaf fans are at the point where they don't even care. They're like, you figure it out and just do it.
Yeah.
We're so sick of talking about it that we're just like, just do it, man.
No, I agree. Like, I mean, once the regular season gets, like, it is going to be a long 82 game schedule, but like, I think once things get going, like, if they get off to a hot start and they position themselves well, and like, or if they get off to a poor start and like they're chasing it right out of the gates, like there's going to be a lot to follow on a game to game basis. Like, are they going to make the playoffs or not? Because I don't think they're like a lock top 3 in the Atlantic Division.
Not even close.
So, like we're going to be living and like breathing like every game here. Like, okay, like here we go. You can't give away a Tuesday night game against Minnesota or whoever the fuck it may be. Like
on paper, do you think this is a better Leafs team than last year?
A
better Leafs team than 2 years ago? Like, I really don't think it is.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. There's just too many, like going back to the last podcast, like whatever, but it still is true.
Too many ifs, ands, and brunts.
That is really the case. There's too many question marks surrounding almost fucking everything. Like name one thing where we're like, oh yeah, we don't need to worry about that. Like, can you name one? No.
I mean, you could say, oh, Matthews is going to score, but I don't know. Maybe what if Matthews gets hurt?
Okay, well, hey everyone, Dale here from the Tip In Maple Leafs podcast. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to our channel. As well, take a look at some of our other videos. If you want to listen to the audio version of our podcast, we are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all other podcast platforms. Visit tipinsportsmedia.com to find out more, and you can find the link in the description below.